I must say that we have very important workshop today. Our audit tool is finally, let's say, almost over. Yeah, this is very important project task, and our partner FAIR did it. We saw it yesterday, and I must say it's very nice. After this short intro, Juraj will present work of FAIR team, and I hope you all be satisfied, and you are all welcome to give us suggestions, comments, critics. We are working on it, so please be open, say whatever you think, and Juraj and his team will ensure that all your suggestions be, of course, if it would be possible to implement in audit. I will take a few minutes just to say thank you for your work in previous year. We submitted the interim report in the end of February, and as you may all know, we got very good feedback from our national agency on it, and we got very good feedback on our project team and the work. I won't read entire report, but I will say and read the most important things. I'll share my screen, and you will see their answer on Croatian language, but I will read it on English. I presume not all of you are familiar with Croatian. And okay, do you see it?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. You can see here our interim report is accepted, and they say the most important things. At this stage of implementation, the results of the project were achieved to an excellent level, according to the plan described in the project application. A report is written detailed and clearly, and based on presented information. And it's clear inside that the quality of implementation of the project activities can be obtained. The work on intellectual result audit, a tool for improving interactivity, and LMS with methodological instructions and examples is described in detail in the report, including all phases of implementation. Funds for the management and in implementation of the project activities are spent in accordance with the rules of the Erasmus Plus program. From the above information, it can be concluded that the coordinator has well-developed project management logistics from implementation monitoring, evaluation, and project risk management. Special emphasis is placed on communication, which is important. The user point of that the most challenging things was to ensure a good culture of communication between the partners. The first transnational meeting wasn't held in Zagreb face-to-face, but according to the pandemic situation, distribution of the tasks among the partners is described in details and and it can be concluded that the tasks are evenly distributed among the partners with regard to their role in the project. The effect of the project was achieved, and indicators are confirmed that the scope of the implemented activities, given the impact of all partners, teachers, students, and parents, but also the wider local community. The dissemination is carried out extensively and regularly at all the levels. It can be concluded that the project will have a long-term positive impact, not only on participating organizations and target groups, but also on the wider community that includes educational policymakers. That is few words from the report you can see entire here, but on Croatian. And we have few recommendations by the national agency that we have to keep and make sure that all the project documentation is kept and put on one place in our situation on cloud. They suggest that we use Erasmus Plus logo in all of our project materials, which we do. They recommend that we continue disseminate project results and that we continue evaluation of the project, and that's that in short line. So that report is a result of our joint work on the project, and thank you for that. So that's from the beginning of today's workshop. I'll give a word to Juraj, and Juraj will continue to lead this workshop today, where we can see the first result of our project. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. For those of you who don't know me, and I see several such people, my name is Juraj Petrovic. I am here from the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing of the University in Zagreb. And as Maria already said, I'm going to show you today our audit tool. Just give me a second to share my screen with you. Can you see my screen here? The screen with the audit presentation? Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna keep it full screen since I'll be switching a lot between this and my web browser and maybe chat box, but I think it's okay. Let me just try to hide this. Always show. Okay, so the plan for today is the following. We have something to do for at least an hour and a half, no more than 2 hours, depending on your feedback. The first part of this presentation is gonna be me showing you audit, during which I will be acting as the lecturer. So also, for those of you who are not familiar with, Audit is our tool for, Audit is our audience response systems for facilitating interaction between a lecturer and his audience in live lectures. So in the first part of this presentation, I'm going to act as a lecturer. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to ask you to join Audit. And then I'm going to acquire some data from you and then show you that data. So the questions here, the questions that I'm going to be asking you are here just for the purpose of the presentation. It's not really important for you to give an honest answer. It's not really important what you really think about the questions. Just please provide me with some data. The second part of this workshop is going to be demonstration of some additional audit features. So again, performed by me as a lecturer. But also from the role of a student. Finally, we're going to have some of you try it and think out loud while you are accessing your audit room or while you're accessing and using the voting interface. And finally, we have some time left for discussion. So what else needs to be done, if something else needs to be done regarding features, regarding user interface, regarding functions, etc. Okay, the links for our audit tool are here. I'm going to paste the audience URL into the chat box, and I'm going to ask you to access it now. Just let me come back to the... Just let me access the chat box. Chat is here. Okay, I've shared with you the audience login URL. I have also shared with you the so-called room ID. So please go to this URL and there you will be prompted for the room ID. You can type in this room ID. I'm going to do the same here on screen with you. I'm going to click audience since this is my temporary role, and I'm going to access the room 3418. Okay, and then you should see something like this. You can access it from your web browser. You can access it. You can use it from your mobile device, whichever you prefer for this moment. Please stop me. Please let me know if you have any questions while we are doing this, or later when we're done. So once again, you have the link to access Audit in the chat box. You have the room number here. It's also available in the chat box. And my first question for you is this. How many online meetings do you expect ALTII team, that is us, to have until July 2022? A, none, B, 1, C, 2, D, 3, E, 4 or more. So please answer this question using the Audit tool. And I can show you the results. Just let me fight my two screens. Okay, so here are your results. This is my my lecture interface of Audit. You can also, or I as a lecturer also can enter in the room by clicking this button here, which provides you with a QR code that you can scan and then access the room directly. Or you have the URL here. Again, you have the room number here, and these are your answers. Okay, so most of you.
Could you return the QR code? It would be easier for me to get it.
Sure. Okay, the idea of this is to, if you're a lecturer using a projector, then you can put this on the screen before you start your class. Your students or your pupils scan the QR code and then access the room. Sorry, I placed my mouse over the QR code. I will give you a second more.
It's not working. I'm sorry, QR code. I have a problem.
It doesn't work?
No.
Okay, I will check that, but then can you use the link provided
no
here?
problem. I'll do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay, so what do I see here? I just opened this room using a simple room opening interface for the lecture. Here I have selected the bar chart. I have several charts here. We're going to use them later. This is my first question. I accept your answers to the question that I posed elsewhere, that is in PowerPoint. I received 10 answers from 10 users. That's very polite of you. You can submit more votes if you want. I see it all here. So I have a maximum of 10 users. Each of those 10 users submitted an answer to this question, and in total that brings us to 10 answers. Okay, so this is the feedback that I got from you right away. I chose 5 offered answers. I can choose up to 10. If you want, we can even increase this number. Okay, back to our question. So this is the first display of the data I got from you. Most of you think, 4 of you think that we're gonna have 3 additional ALTII team meetings until July 2022. Okay. A short notice about these meetings is we're definitely going to have another meeting regarding the audit corrections implementation. So the things that we discussed today, you're going to give me and my team some time to fix them, to correct them. Then we're going to have another meeting or a workshop about the audit to go through the corrections. We're definitely going to have another meeting regarding methodologies that we're developing and uploading them or organizing them in our Moodle LMS. And probably we're going to have another meeting, so the third meeting, which is going to be held as needed, so either 2 or 3 meetings. Okay, now again, just for the purpose of this presentation, now after notifying you about our meetings plan, I can ask you the same question again. So now how many online meetings do you expect ALTII team to have? So please go back to the voting interface and vote again. Okay, I have 17 answers so far, 18 answers, almost all answers are here. So why did I do this? So you can send me your your opinion if you have changed it. Here on the interface, I can choose if I want to display only the first vote of each user. So these were the first votes. I can choose to select only the last vote of each user. So now after informing you about our plans for the future, some of you have changed your opinions, or I can show you the first and the last response, the first being left, the last being right. So this is the combined graph. This is here to show you what we can do. Why would you want to do this? You would typically want to do it in your lectures, maybe if you want to do it in order to ask your students something, to see why they think on a given topic, then explain something to them, then teach them, and then ask the same question again to see the difference in their opinions. Here, the difference obviously regarding the content of a question is not important, but here you see that some of you changed your opinion. Before, someone thought that we're not going to have any other additional meetings before I told you about our plan for the future, and now in your last vote or in your final vote, most of you think we're going to have 2 meetings. As I said, we're going to have 2 or 3 meetings. Okay, this was the example of the bar chart question for which you can choose between the first, last, or all answers if needed, if you want to have students submitting more than one answer for a given question for whichever reason, or you can compare their first and last answer to a question. Okay, so this was supposed to provide me as a lecturer with a quick feedback. I didn't show you how to open a room, but I did this virtually in only 3 clicks. Open a new room. I just typed in my email and I got to this audit interface that I'm showing you as a lecturer. And you did pretty much the same, but you used the audience interface. Okay, now, as you will maybe want to do in your regular classes, we're going to use a user list. I have here a list of users, which, as much as I see now, is not really the list of people we have with us today. If you're not on this list, I apologize. I think we have plenty of people here, so at least for some of us, you'll be able to register. I wouldn't waste time. I can add your list and your email. I can add your name and your email to this list right now if you would really want to, but just to save us some time, I suggest that we skip that. You're going to still be able to vote either as an unregistered user if you are on this list. If there is an email next to your name on this list, then you will be able to register in our audit room using this email. Please pay attention, the email is case sensitive. That is, your user ID, which now is email, is case sensitive. So what I'm going to do now as a lecturer is I'm going to go to room options. I'm going to select usernames, and I'm going to choose a file. I have this label is in Croatian. It shouldn't be in Croatian, but I'll change that later. And here I have a textual file containing what was shown on screen just a second ago. I select the file, I upload it, I get the feedback message, and now I have a list of users for my audit room. Okay, I'm gonna hide this. What you can do now is you can register using the email address I provided you with, or you provided me with on this slide. So if you can, please register for the room. I hope it's obvious from the interface that you have with you how to register. I'm gonna give you an example here. So I click the tab register. I write in my student ID, my user ID, whichever as a lecturer you want to use. So here, it's email addresses. Otherwise, we would use, for example, in my university, every student has a 10-digit number assigned to them, which they can use to register for this room. So here, I can register with my email address, and now I have feedback on the voting interface that now I'm a registered user. I'm registered as my full first and last name. Okay. I hope you have successfully registered by now, at least those of you who are on this list. If you're not, that's still okay. And my next question for you is, do you expect another COVID-19 lockdown in European countries by January 2022? So please select, submit an answer. Sorry, I didn't change the question. Please, if you have already now, submit an answer to this question. So do you expect another lockdown? A, no. B, yes. Here I can show you the results live. So again, notice here that I have 6 answers from 6 out of 11 users. So the highest number of users I had on my system is 11. 11 of you used the system so far, either registered or unregistered, or accessed the room. And 7 of you submitted an answer to this question. And what I really wanted to show you was the second type of charts that we support that is a pie chart. Here, I can choose 2 answers. So most of you think that we are not going to have another lockdown in Europe before summer, at least, hopefully. Here, if I hover over the surface area of the chart, I can see the answers. So 2 of you who voted for this are registered users. 2 of you who voted for this are not registered users. And here, again, I can see the list of users, either registered or unregistered, who voted against it. Notice that if you're not registered, you have this short label LWFH8612. That's your unique user identifier. So we still know that all the answers submitted from your device belong to the same user, but you haven't registered, and we don't know who that user is. You could register at any moment. Now, unfortunately, this is not true for you who are not mentioned in my user's CSV file. Okay. And now, again, I could say something that could make you change your mind. For example, I don't know if you heard that Shanghai is currently undergoing lockdown once again. I was quite surprised by this, but then again, it's true. I can ask you again, did this change your opinion? Can you submit another vote to this question now, knowing, or maybe you know from before, that there are lockdowns happening in China again? And then if you change your mind, I'm going to select auto refresh, and I'm going to show you the difference between your first and your last answer. Okay, so now I have 9 answers from users, and now I'm not going to hide the display. I'm going to disable auto refresh. So now most of you think that the inner circle is now the new data. Most of you now think that we're not going to have a lockdown before summer in European countries. Okay. So again, I can choose between displaying the first, the last, and all votes. When I am interested in sharing a proportion of users contain something, I might go for the pie chart. If not, I might go for the bar chart. So here again, I see the answers from you on my first and my last question. And yeah, so far again, we are having 11 users in total. 10 of those users submitted an answer to this question. Probably someone, I haven't sent the answer to the question. Okay. Okay, that's the second type of chart. Now, the third type of chart we're going to see is text. It's the word cloud, an option we didn't ask for explicitly in the project proposal, but which some of you expressed a wish for in one of our audit-related meetings. So my next question for you is, what is your preferred spelling or way to write audit? Audit, again, is the name of our tool. Is it all capitalized? Is it all lowercase letters? Is it with the first letter capitalized and the last 2, IT, capitalized, or something else? So please, again, submit a vote of yours. Now, you don't vote with the A, B, C, D, E buttons, but it's hopefully intuitive enough. You want to submit a message. Now here you can submit a message. You can submit a message here. And for example, my favorite spelling of audit would be something even unlisted here, which would be AUD white space IT. Okay. And here are your answers as a word cloud or as a tag cloud. So again, here under chart type, I can select tag cloud, which is what I selected. I can refresh it if some of you submitted an answer later. And here are your results. The size, the text font size corresponds to the number of users who submitted a particular option. So for example, here, 3 of you favor this option. 2 of you favor the option with all the capitalized letters. I'm not sure why do we have answers duplicated. That's a bug, but still the size of the answers should correspond to the number of users who voted for it. Okay, other than the tag cloud, other than the word cloud, I can also display these results or all the results as textual messages, since you submitted them as textual messages. Here, this is the plain text results. So I can see each of you registered. So for example, Predrag Paule voted for this option. Someone who is not registered currently said that they like Audit very much. My answer was this with the white space. Okay, all answers are duplicate. We will look into that. Okay, this is this text chart. So what I actually wanted to show you here was the tag cloud with varying colors. We can vary the rotation of certain items or of each and any item in the word cloud, but I sort of preferred it all to be horizontal. If you want, you can, if you will want, we can change that. And then our last question for showing you the plain text answers is a short definition or a question of how would you define perfectionism. So please again go to your audit interface. I'm again interested that you submit an answer, a textual message. Please write what you would consider to be the definition of perfectionism. I'm going to switch to the next question here. Again, sorry, I'm switching between 2 screens. So I have just changed my question to the next question. Any ideas what perfectionism is? I can join you in answering. Just give me a second to hold up the third browser screen. So I think it's trying to make things perfect too much or something like that. Again, I got some answers from you. We can see them here. So what's perfectionism? A person or thing considered to be perfect is an attitude when you're never satisfied, the need to be or appear to be perfect, etc., etc. Again, I can see who submitted which answer, at least for registered users. I have so far received 7 answers out of 11 users. And another thing that we asked for in the project proposal was answers clustering. So it's the lowest option here in the interface. And here I can turn on answers clustering, which means that the similarity of answers is going to be assessed. Now, I have to tell you right now that these are some of the fuzzy string comparison algorithms. That means these are some of the algorithms that assess how similar two answers are. This is good for short answers. The shorter the answer is, the better the strings in this string similarity measure is going to work. Of course, these answers aren't so short. I think you were thinking too much or trying too hard. So we will see what we will get with this if we turn on the clustering and say, okay, we wanted to divide this into 2 groups. Let's give it a few more groups. Okay, 6 groups. Again, I have this duplication here. So we're not gonna go over there first. items. I have some music coming in. Okay, so this is the grouping. This is the automated grouping of answers into 6 different categories using the Jar-Winkler algorithm. It's not, again, based on the meaning. It's not parsing meaning. It's comparison of strings, so as a piece of text, and grouping text into similar categories based on the assessed text similarity. Okay, or I can go for each unique answer. So if some of you sent a duplicate answer, then I'm going to have just a list of unique answers here. Okay. So these were the 4 chart types or question types or display types that you can get using Audit. So the first one was bar chart, again, where you can have the first, last, or first and last answer. The pie chart, where again, you display votes, ABCDE votes, where you can get the first, last, or all answers, or the comparison first between last. We have the tag cloud, where the text that you or that your audience submits can be displayed in various colors in size corresponding to the number of voters or submitters of a given piece text. And finally, the text chart, where you can either display plain text of all the answers that you obtained on your question, or you can try grouping it, clustering it to categories. Okay. This was the part where you were more active. Now the part where I show you some additional features of Audit, or we go over its interface. Okay, so for this purpose, I'm gonna open another window to show you how you as a lecturer access Audit and how do you see this data. This is the initial Audit page where you choose your main role. Our 2 main roles or 2 only roles on the system are lecturer or the audience. If you choose the audience, you're going to end up where you end up with the interface to access a room, and finally with the voting interface. If you click lecture, you can choose between a new or an active room. An active room means you've already opened this room, means you probably already have some data in it. For example, you uploaded a user list to that room, you acquired some data, and you want to reuse the same room again. This is practical. For example, you can use always the same room number for all of your classes in a given subject, so students know the room number and you don't have to share them with them again and again. If we choose this, you log into your room using your email and using the room ID. If you don't have a room yet, go for a new room. You can either use it anonymously. Using it anonymously means you don't have to write your email. You can do anything you want with the room, but once you exit it or once you stop using it, you cannot re-access the room. So if you want to use the room continuously, you can write here your email and you can start a new room in that way. Or if you don't care about reusing this room, you can just click anonymously, which would mean that we can open a new room virtually in just 3 clicks. So as a lecturer, I'm here, I'm a lecturer, I want a new room, and I want to use it anonymously. And that's it. So now you have a new room. You can share it with your students using the room ID, which is 4 digits currently. We can expand it. We can increase the number of digits or combine it with alphabet characters if needed. You can enable your students to log into the room using this. You can configure some room options, and you can configure question options. Regarding the room options, we have several options here. First is your usernames. Usernames means that you can upload a simple textual file, regardless of extension, containing a list of users. I have an example of this file. So this is the file that I used. So here are your email addresses, a comma, your full name. Email address or any other identifier, I don't care, a number, a password that any of your students picked for themselves, and then finally the display label. So this is what's going to be shown to you or to user on their interface after they have logged in to the room. Okay, other room options include the Audit Redirect. Sorry, I skipped this in the in my first presentation part. We will use this again. Let me just go over the other options, and then we're going to return to Audit Redirect. So the second option is to get data. You can download it in a zip file, so download all the data that was acquired in the room, or you can have it sent by email. Another option is to delete answers, where you can, for whatever concern you may have, you may delete all the data from the system, all the data from the room, or just the votes to the current question. I wanted to ask you something, but instead I asked you something else, or you started submitting votes too early, or whatever. And finally, the language option, where you can change the room of the where you can change the language of the room. Switching back to English, other than the room options, which you don't configure so often, which you configure once, for example, once you define usernames, once you download Audit Redirect and you use it. So these options are here, so to say, hidden in this drop-down list. Other than that, you have the question options. So here we have question 1, obviously in a newly open room. You can move to a next question or return to previous questions. Here in this room, I don't have any data. I can return now to my other room where I have data. So this is the room that we started in. I can return. So the question configuration or the question settings are saved. So this is the third question where we had a word cloud, a tag cloud. This was the second question where actually we cared about the pie chart. And this was the first question where we had a bar chart. So if I wanted, I could have downloaded this data. And now I can switch between questions if I want. I can open a new question and again, ask you to start voting. Regarding the question options, which are listed here below the question label, I can accept answers or I can disable accepting answers, meaning that if now you try to submit a vote using your voting interface, you won't be able to. I can show the display or I can hide it. So now I have the information. If I don't want students to see the answers as they're coming in, I can hide the display. Here, I still have the live updated information about how many answers from how many users did I get. Of course, these options are dependent on the lower options. So if I select that I'm just interested in the last votes, then I'm going to see the number of last votes for each user. If I can also choose the first vote, okay, every user has the first and the last vote, sometimes it's the same, so this number is the same. Or I can count all votes, so in total you submitted 23 answers. 23 answers were submitted by 10 active users to this question. This number is live updated if you submit answers to the question. Okay. There is a message here to remind you that you can turn the display on here. Auto refresh means that the chart is going to be updated live or it's not going to be updated live. If you don't want that for any reason, you have a timer where you can set a countdown. So for example, I can hide the display, I can ask you a question, and I can set a 60 seconds timer. The timer is going to count down. When it reaches 0, it's going to disable accepting answers. So I want you to submit an answer in the next 60 seconds, and after that, you won't be able to submit another answer. Okay, we don't have to wait for this. We can just reset it. Here you have the chart option. Let's see if you submitted any text here. No, you didn't. Okay, so here I choose the chart, and based on the chart that I select, based on it, these options related to the chart change. For example, for the charts that show votes, those are bar chart and pie chart. So for those charts, you can choose the number of answers, and you can choose what I said, if you want to display all answers, only the first answer, the last, or the first and last answer to that question. Regarding users, you have a choice here. You can limit the display data to only the registered users. So now we have only the registered users. I can see what each one of you voted. Now I have all answers, so your names are sometimes duplicated. For example, Maria submitted 3 votes to the first question. All 3 votes were the A answer. I can show unregistered users. Those are those of you who didn't register or who due to their circumstance weren't able to register. So here I still see that 4 different users who are not registered submitted, answered my question, and answered the D option. And finally, I have this anonymous option. So this is to submit an answer truly anonymously. Let me explain that again. So unregistered means that you still have an ID We don't know who is behind that ID, but we still can link all the answers that you can that you submit to that ID. If you eventually register in the room, all your answers are still going to be linked with you as a person. If you submit something anonymously, then it's really anonymously, so we cannot identify the sender of this information. How to submit such a message? You can submit it. So it's, for example, for answering sensitive questions, if you have concerns if students are going to really answer honestly, or they're going to just submit a socially desirable answer. So if I wanted to submit a message, then I wanted to send it as anonymous, I would just click the button here and write this. This is an anonymous message. I send the message. Now the button is not selected anymore, assuming that I don't want to keep sending messages anonymously. This is just an exceptional situation. Now that I've submitted this vote anonymously, here I've turned on off auto refresh. If I turn it off and if I show you the text chart, so this is an anonymous message, although I'm a registered user at the system. Now you can't see my name, I'm anonymous, and this is my message. Okay, if you choose all, then you're gonna see all the messages from registered and unregistered users. Again, anonymous is sort of an exception for really cases when you need it. Okay, we were talking about the options for votes charts, that is bar chart and pie chart. And then, as I said, you can display this combined chart where left you have the first submitted vote, right you have the second submitted vote. There is sometimes you can sometimes you create these charts by combining them, by showing a single column, and then if there is a difference in the column, then you see that this number increased. For example, we could have dark blue rectangle here before this one, but this is not really convenient, as if the number of answers remain the same, but the voters changed, then you wouldn't be able to see the difference in voters. So here, because of this hover option, we have separate bars for the first and for the last answer to this question. Okay, and those were the options for voting charts, for bar chart and pie chart. For text chart, again, here I don't have any answers to this question, so I can skip back forward to this question and show you text. So this is the text that you've sent. Sorry, I had I had this first and last option selected for the text chart, meaning that everything is okay, really. So these are your answers to the third question, where I asked you about the preferred spelling of the audit. This is where I wanted to show you this text cloud. So now we don't have double answers. Double answers were here because I showed you the first and the last answer for every user. Now it's more clear to see that the majority, 3 of you to be exact, prefer this spelling. 1 person prefers this spelling. 1 person prefers this spelling, and 1 person just likes it like this, or 2 people prefer the all capitalized spelling. Maria, I see you raised your hand.
Yes, thank you, Juraj. Is it possible to show us how you can group our answers by with this audit? We have short answers here, and
yeah. Thank you. That's a good question, or that's a good example. So now I can go back to not tag cloud. Sorry, Maria was curious about the text chart. So here are your answers in plain text, and then I've went over these options already. You can show the first or the last answer for each user. You can show answers by only registered, unregistered, or anonymous users, or all users. And then finally, for these, for the plain text chart, you have the option to cluster similar answers. Now, if we turn this on and leave only 2 categories, these are the clusters. So in the first, so here I selected, I want only 2 categories. I want all the answers to be clustered in only 2 categories. And here they are. So all this relatively similar spellings. So audit with the white space, audit with lowercase letters, audit uppercase letters, audit white space T, audit with combined capitalization, all of them are grouped to group 1. And here we have different answers with a different answer. I like audit very much. Okay, let's try some other options. As I said, I can't reach the top of my screen because of the Zoom ribbon. As I've said, we can see all the unique answers. So here is what you can choose from. These are all the different answers that you have submitted. Or we can say, let's see how it looks if we group them into 4 categories. This is what we get. Again, yeah, this is already too similar. We can try 3 categories or just try out different options. These are grouped as most similar. And then again, obviously this one is much different from the others. Did I answer the question, or did I show what you were curious about? Yeah, okay. You can also try different algorithms, depending, usually providing with different results. I'm not gonna go about how do they work exactly, but again, they assess the similarity of text as a string, not analyzing its meaning. That's a more challenging thing to do. Okay, and this was what I wanted to tell you regarding display options for each of the charts. And now the last thing that I forgot was to show you the audit redirect. Okay, so for this, I'm gonna go forward to your definitions of perfectionism. Now, Audit Redirect, if you remember from the project proposal, was supposed to be an application that can take this input and then simulate that this was being typed on my computer. So this application would read all this text and then rewrite it from my keyboard. Now, the reason why you would want to do this is because you're using in your classes another application for which you want students to provide input. So assuming that you were students here and that you provided me with this input, I can, for example, redirect that input into a text-to-mind map application. This is the example. This is this application. It doesn't have to be this application. It can be any application whatsoever. I particularly like this one, and I think it's going to be a good example for today. So, for example, here I can type in the name of the root concept, and based on the concepts that I write here, they're going to be displayed here on the right. So, for example, here I can route audit, and then I want to have a new subnode concept 1. I want to have a new subnode concept 2. And here is displayed. So I have the root node audit, and then with tab. So here is a tab character, which means that concept 1 is a sub-concept of audit. Here, again, I have a tab character indicating that concept 2 is a sub-concept of audit. Okay, now let's try to combine this with your input here. So what I need to do is I need to get audit redirect. I need to download it. Here it is. I just need to run this jar application so that it can be run in any environment that is Linux, Windows, or Mac OS compatible. And I need this redirect key. This is sort of a secret code that's going to enable the application to access the data that you have submitted in the room. Okay, here in this application, so I want to use the audit domain. I have typed in the secret key, and now I can choose the output format options for your messages. So here I can choose whether I want to display your user ID. Your user ID is this, your user ID here is your full name, or this, or the full name, or if I want to include your message. I also can choose whether I want to retype all this content that you have submitted to audit, whether I want to retype it either in plain text, or I want to supplement it with additional characters. So remember when I showed you this, if I want to type here some concepts from my keyboard and then have them automatically appear here on the right side, then I have to use the tab character. So here I press tab and then I add a concept, which means that what I would want to do is I would want to have audit input here. but I have to add tab characters to denote nodes and subnodes. So I'm going to create such a config file, or I'm just going to use the one that I created before. So I'm going to find the config file. It's on desktop in the folder, this one. This file was created using this same application. And then I say start. I have a countdown here, 10 seconds, after which all your inputs are going to be written here. So I can just click here in the window, wait for another few seconds, and here are your answers. If you submit an answer now on Audit, it's also going to appear here. You can try that if you want, at least for as long as this is my active window. So if you want, you can now submit another textual answer on Audit, and it should appear here as if it was written from the keyboard of my computer. It's perfect, says Maya. Thank you, Maya. Maria Vornek says new test, and it appeared here. Okay, I'm going to stop this. So I'm going to go here and say stop. Now, of course, I can edit this. Perfection. Okay, these were your previous answers. Now I can recombine this, or I can have the answers resent, or I can do this. I can say, okay, this is not really what I meant. So here now I have registered or unregistered users. I have each and every one of your answers. So for example, my answer here, Audit, the root concept is connected to my name. And this is my definition of perfectionism. Now let's say I wanted to do a different thing. I just wanted to include all of the answers. So I don't care about user IDs. I don't care about who sent this. I just want to get the definitions here so I can work later with them. So again, I turn on the redirector. I say resend all the messages. I click here where I want the messages to appear. I wait for the countdown to finish. And now it's typing the messages as if they are typed on my computer. Okay, this is now a small font because I left 2 tabs here. If I delete a tab from each of those, or if I use a different config file, then I can increase the text size and or colors, etc. Again, the reason why the font was smaller now was because I used the same config file, so I added too many tabs. And here I have your answers. Here, then I can edit them, I can change them, I can add new answers or whatever. Again, or to zoom out a little bit, you don't have to use this application. You can use any application you want. You can open Microsoft Word, you can open Microsoft Excel. Using Audit Redirect, you define that, for example, if you're using Microsoft Excel, you want every of these entries to go into a new line. And here, using a config file, you can see the config file editor. You just have to say, I want to insert an enter, a new line, before every message, or before every user ID, or after every message, or after every user ID, after each line, after the whole message block. So this is where you define what you want to surround your message with. You can add custom keys. You can surround each of your messages with a custom string. For example, this is my message, or message number, or message related to the topic, or whatever you would want. And this was the Audit Redirect application. And that's pretty much it. So we went over the second point in our presentation, over the demonstration of Audit features. Now I would like some or a few of you to try now to open an audit room to provide us with some feedback, maybe to provide me with feedback about Element's layout, user interface, whether you find it intuitive, etc., etc. Do you have any questions about Audit? Do you have any questions now? Or would you want to try it now? Would you want to try it in front of everyone?
Could you just show us how does it look if you export the answers?
Yeah. So I showed you that you can here under room options, you can get data, you download it in a zip file. it's two separate CSV files, one for textual answers, one for votes. I can open both of them. So this is the votes file. These are the headers. So for every user, I have his user ID here or the username. I have a timestamp. I have the date information. I have the answer, A, B, C, D, E. I have information about your web browser, and I have an information about the platform that you're using. This is not really, this was mostly used for debugging. I am not sure if you're gonna need this. We can remove this later, but the key information is this: who sent it, when, what date, and what was the answer. Or for text, it should look the same. So again, who sent it, at what time, what date, the answer. These were textual messages. If you remember, this one is an example of the message that I sent anonymously. For other messages, you have a user ID or a username, and again, browser and platform. I think all the answers here were single line answers, but if you submit a multi-line answer, that's going to be preserved as well. So you can submit multi-line answers, and they're going to be surrounded with quotes, so they're going to be preserved. You will be able to see them in multi-lines later. What I see here that is missing is the question number. You should have, I don't know if this is a bug or did we forget to implement this feature. Other than these four information, you're also going to have the question number or the question ID. Any more questions?
Is it possible, I just missed this, I'm sorry. Can student put more than one answer to one question, or can I say that they don't, that they are not able to do it, or is it this automatically? I'm sorry, but I skipped.
So you can control this using different settings. Let me see which one do you prefer. You can disable answering here.
Yeah, I know that.
You cannot limit number of answers. Let's say, for example, to 2. You can either disable it here, which means that if a student hasn't submitted any answer, they won't be able to. So this setting goes for all of students. But you can configure it using the display options. So you can have students submit more than one answer, but you only display the first or the last one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Are there any specific needs you would have here, or anything you would want to add? Would it be practical for you to have the option to limit the number of answers to an exact number? So, for example, not more than 2 or not more than 3 answers?
Yeah, it could come handy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's not a problem to add. I can add that to the function and then just add the number of possible answers to submit just as a value here.
Okay, and also I have a question about the name of the room. It's always a 4-digit number. It's not possible for me to say, okay, this is for 4B and this is for the whole year. I have to know which one is for 4A and which one is for 4B if I have registered.
Currently, you cannot, but there is no reason for it to stay that way. We can allow you to define a name so it's just a string. It can be anything. We can allow the lecturer, for example, to define a custom name for the room. A custom means 4B if you want. Anything with preferably with ASCII characters, but yeah, it can be anything you want.
Yeah, this is only important if I register my students into it, and then I don't have to remember the number of the room for 10 classes that I'm teaching.
Yeah, exactly. So if would it solve this problem if we if we say that you can define a custom name for the room with any letter and any number.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, any more questions, comments?
I know the teachers are going to ask. I know it's possible to do it through the Excel, but the teachers very much like output to be saved with the bar and charts and everything, like in a PDF or something.
I cannot give you a definitive answer now, but I can look into it and see what would be.
It is very handy for a bit advanced teachers to have everything in the Excel. Yes, I agree with it. But just for the most of the teachers, I think it would be very appealing if there would be just graphs and everything is ready.
Okay, I'll add that to the list. I cannot promise you that we're going to implement it, but yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Okay, but otherwise, I like it very much. Thank you, Jura. It's perfect.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Any other comments or questions?
Of course, I must say, I'm sorry, I had a flu recently and my voice is still not okay. Of course, Juraj and his team will write instructions how to use, how to create, and so on. So your task will be, of course, if you want to translate into your local languages, Slovenian and Estonian. Our instructions will be on English. So everything Juraj mentioned today, plus everything he and his team will add after today's meeting and after you use Audit and send us your recommendations, will be in instructions, and it would be easier for you to use it and to show your colleagues how to use.
Are we also planning to translate the interface in other languages?
Yes, that is the next task Juraj will mention, but we can mention it now. It would be very good for all of you to translate interface into your local languages. For instance, room options on Croatian je opcije, ne znam, kako bi to sorry.
Yeah, we have this in Croatian already, but yeah, as Maria said, I would ask someone to translate this interface labels in Slovenian and Estonian. This should be a simple task. It's stored in a TXT file. So I'm going to send to you, whoever you say, or whoever says they will do it. I will send you this TXT file with translations in English, and then you just translate the English items into Slovenian or Estonian.
And then, Juraj, you will build it into this part language where you can...
yeah.
Then you can choose Slovenian, Estonian, English, and Croatian.
Yeah, exactly. Can you deliver this task to someone? Or does anyone volunteer for translating?
Mirko bomo, ne?
Mislim, da Mirka ni tu.
Aha, Mirko.
Mirko Đukić.
Ja.
Nije.
Niga mi je mene poslal na mesto, ko ima pouk. Drugače pa jaz sem za, ja. Jaz sem tudi na škofijski, ne vem, če še se poznamo. In sem za.
Ja, ok, super.
Okay, then we will send this text file to Maya and Jakob, and for our Estonian colleagues, someone from their school will translate. Is it okay?
Yeah, perfect. If you send it to me, then I will arrange everything and we can meet and discuss it and do it. Thank you.
Yeah,
great.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, Maria, do you want to discuss with the Estonian partners now, or
No, we'll send it to them, to their school, and they will make arrangements inside their team. Is it okay?
Yeah.
You can all sit down, and it's not much to work, right? You're right.
Yeah, I don't think it should take more than an hour to translate it, and then we should meet once online for a short session, just so you see how it looks here on the interface and maybe correct it. Okay, I see in chat that Anne-Krul and Kathleen agreed. Yeah. Okay, do you have any more questions or comments regarding the tool, regarding its functions, regarding the user interface?
Since I'm sorry, but my colleague is here, she's teaching math. So are there any obstacles about using different math signs in when writing text or something?
You mean when submitting a textual answer?
Yeah.
No. You can use any characters you need, any UTF-8 encoded character whatsoever. I think this should work as well. For example, if we really wanted to go where were we? No, this was. Yeah. So any UTF encoded character will work or will be displayed regularly.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think it's time now to discuss about graphic here. You didn't mention, but this is a plain version without any graphic design, right?
Yeah. So here in the voting interface, I don't know if we really need a lot of colors or images or additional symbols here on this interface. I left this to be pretty minimalistic, but maybe we would want to add some images or something here. I don't know. What do you think about it? My preference, of course, this is very subjective. My preference here would be to add some icons symbolizing the lecturer or the audience, but to leave things relatively simple. I'm not really a fan of much drawings or many things flying around. So if you ask me, I didn't want to do this in advance because I wanted to consult with you. If you ask me, my choice would be to supply these buttons for the login interface with symbols that would make reading the text unnecessary or at least easier, or whichever you would prefer. What do you think, or what do the others think?
Yeah, keep it small and simple would be nice.
I definitely agree also, but I would keep the text and the image.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, great. And then for the next version, I'm going to add something here just to make it a bit more visually appealing and still simple and obvious. This is, so now we've started.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is there some? I think the tool should have some kind of logo or something also.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not the best of a logo designer you can find. Does anyone have an ideas for this, or do you want maybe each of the partners can take some time and see if they come up with an idea for the tool? If so, then we can vote for it. If not, then I can prepare something.
You don't have to worry with the graphic design. With the project or with the funds of the project management part, we as the project coordinator, we can pay somebody to make graphic design or logo. But for the beginning, we can put our bold man ALTII and this EU and Erasmus Plus logo.
Yeah.
For the beginning, and we must have that part with the rules of visibility of EU fundings. So we can, for the beginning, just put this bold man, our ALTII bold man, and some of the partners have few ideas about the audit logo. It's excellent, but if not,
this one is nice.
Set it.
Yeah. Do we need some kind of GDPR disclaimer also? Because if people are registering or not?
I'm not sure with the national legislatives with the countries, but I'm pretty sure it's not wrong to put it. It can be wrong if we mention some GDPR disclaimer about using data for just educational purpose. I think we can put it, right? You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I have the cookie disclaimer on the. This should pop up by default. I think it has. There's something missing here. Anyway, I'll complete the information here. We have the disclaimer here, which means that I'm not really sure about the legal aspect. So this means that you agree to your data about you or your data being stored in cookies. It's also stored on the system, but I think that after that, yeah, I don't know. We should investigate maybe the legal aspects of this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, Maya.
Yeah. Okay, other comments, other ideas?
Yes, I had some ideas regarding this tool. It would be nice, I think, that lecturer could be able to write a question inside a tool instead of just naming the question 1, question 2, question 3. There could be an option to write a question with text into the tool, and so the lecturer, the teacher, in this case, needs some other like PowerPoint presentation to present the question, and then students answer the question. With this option, I think they could just see the question in this on this web page. So also teacher for teacher also would be easier not to switch the PowerPoint presentation and this answers. Maybe this is an option.
Yeah, I like that option, but we were thinking about that in the project application, and we sort of voted against that to make this really ad hoc, so you don't have to prepare anything in advance.
Okay.
On the other hand, or did you mean something like a simple textual text area here where you could? Yeah, that we could add that. And
okay, I think maybe that's not a good comment, but I think this would be maybe more elegant solution.
Yeah, maybe we can still compromise and then provide a limited space for entering a question here, so it can be displayed alongside with the chart Yeah. Okay, so not to upload the PowerPoint presentation and then to parse it, but at least to enable the lecture to store, to write the question here. I think that would be
the content of the question.
Yeah, I think that would be doable, and doable in a relatively easy way. Okay, I will add that to the comments. Thank you.
If not possible, Juraj, is it possible just to rename that part where it said question 1? When the lecture comes by the, let's say, for right click, rename and put a question. I don't know what is, whatever the question is. Is it easier perhaps than write text bar out?
It's pretty much the same. Maybe I would prefer to add like a space that can be expanded by clicking somewhere here in the upper left corner, and then this space would expand with a few lines of text where you can then paste your one-line question text and then ABCDE answers in each of the line. So if you want it, you can use it, and then you can collapse it if you want to just use the chart.
Yes, that would be nice. So everyone would know for which questions their answers are. Because now we just see, okay, these are answers to question 1, but we are not sure which question was exactly, so we have to check other source.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I can do that. I didn't show you, but this is also doable if you want to show the chart in full screen or get the menu back here. And then maybe there would be a collapsible option here to do, so not here above the chart, but here right of the chart instead of this menu to write the question. So just a text area where you can write whatever you want. Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Maybe I have one more, last one. So when we have different kinds of questions, the first one is ABCD and the second one is text message. And when there is, for example, first question is ABCD and second one text message, the teacher should explain to students, now you have to click on the messages and write your answer here. So I don't know if this is technically possible to when you define the for example text question, the question that requires text answer, that the answer possibility should automatically be just text, not the ABCD. Maybe I don't know if that's technically possible.
Yeah, we were considering that as well. So far, we chose that we didn't, so to say, force type of answers from students. In some situations that would be good or simple for students. But in our case, we wanted to enable students to submit a textual question or a textual comment at any time. So, if they have a question that's unrelated to the question by the lecturer. So far, we've decided not to force this answer type, but I'll write down the comment. Maybe we would add the option to let the lecturer choose if he wants to force the answer type on students or he wants to leave it flexible. Maybe that would be a compromising solution. So you have both options as a lecturer.
I just send you a message. Where can you see it?
I'm asking a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you choose between these display types. If you choose one of the first two, it's going to display votes. If you choose one of those two, it's going to display messages.
You're right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what Jakob said. Is it possible just to put in the same tab votes and messages, not to switch tabs between votes and messages, but in the tab votes, let's say, put one tab votes and messages, where above will be A, B, C, D, E, and below area for text.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to switch between votes and messages. We will have then we will have two tabs, votes and messages and register, except instead of 3 now. Is it possible?
While it's possible, I would suggest we keep it this way. We were using ARS with students in a demo session. I think it can happen, or it did happen then when combining these two in the same interface. Then sometimes when you would want a student to vote with A, B, C, D, E, instead they would type letter E into the message field and then submit it that way. So I wanted to split it, to prevent them from doing that. So they can either do this or they can do this.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. More questions?
Could you disable this anonymous sending?
Sorry?
Could a teacher disable the anonymous sending?
Would you want to?
Well, in school, sometimes it is always anonymous. Students can write a lot of stupid things. And
yeah, I agree. But I tended to deal with this so that the only way you can see it or watch it as a lecture is by selecting the anonymous.
Yeah.
I didn't say it. Anonymous answers are not included in all answers.
Okay. So it is a smart thing to do. Thank you.
So just to limit the impact of that. Yeah, I had the same concerns for our university students.
Oh, really? Thank you. Yeah, it works. It will work fine. If we will put some efforts for teachers to understand it, then it will be fine. Yeah, thank you.
More questions or comments?
I presume that our partners need some time to use Audit to see how it works. So I suggest, Juraj, if you think that is okay. Beside these comments given us today, can we, for instance, give our partners 10 days to try Audit and write us their feedback and comments?
Yeah,
is that
sure.
Okay with you?
I will write the comments that we already discussed today.
Yeah,
and then we can we can take 10 days if anyone wants to add anything more to them.
Is that okay with you, I'm sorry, Juraj, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to say yeah, I forgot. Go ahead, Maria.
I'm sorry. Is that okay with you? Do you have some time in the next 10 days to test it, try it, and write us your feedbacks and your opinions? It doesn't have to be in formal way. You can send us via email or something. I don't know, for instance, oh, I just see it was a good idea. You can send us few emails. You don't have to write it in one email, then you can forget. When you see something, remember something, get an idea, send us email, and Juraj and his team will see is it possible to arrange and include it in Audit.
Okay, great. Just send us the link and we will sit together, the whole group, and we'll discuss it and get you the feedback. Thank you.
That's excellent. After that period of you testing it, it would be good. Then Juraj, how much time do you think that you and your team need to input all possible comments and ideas and changes into Audit to get into some final version, let's say?
it's difficult for me to say that now, but I think we can go through most of the comments, if not all, within a month.
Okay. Then we can say by the after first week of May, we can have final version to go out.
Yeah, yeah.
That's nice. Then after Jure and his team finish and adjust audit, you will have to test it in your classes, in your school, at least in one class with one topic. Is it possible?
Yeah, it is. When did you plan the translating to be done? Before the second week of May or after it?
Before.
Okay, perfect.
I think it would be better that when they apply these changes into audit, we comment and you will comment. That then they with this part they incorporate other languages, Slovenian and Estonian.
Yeah, but I can send you the translate files right now, and it's not a lot of work. So I suggest, Maria, you can distribute them, and then you know, whenever you have time, you can start translating. Maybe there will be a few additions or changes to the interface, but I mean, this should be the biggest part, what we already have. So you can translate whenever you want. It doesn't have to be after a month.
No, it would be good, Jura, if it's possible, of course, when they tested in their classes, that they have it on the local languages. So
yeah. That's what I'm suggesting. So we can have the translate. I can send you the translate files right now, and then we can have different languages as soon as you send them back to me.
Excellent.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we write all your comments. We discussed this graphical design. Okay, if there are no more questions, we are almost at the end of our today's workshop. So your task, I will send you email and write it all. Your main task will be to translate interface, to test audit, to send us comments, and by the end of April, please try to finish at least 5 methodologies. So, and in those methodologies, try to include using of audit. Try. It's not obligatory. Just try. I know it's hard to include using the tool you haven't used yet, but you try to imagine where can you use it in your classes.
Just like an idea, what are we going to do later in May when we are going to have it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's not necessary you write it and then you will use it on that way in the class. Just try to get some idea how you can use it. You teach geography, right?
Yeah.
You can try to imagine how to use it. And I don't, for instance, in Industrial Revolution, and so on.
And write the whole template like we did before with those that we already done.
Yeah. Okay. I already created on cloud. When you go to intellectual result, then go O2. I'm sorry, I have to go step by step. Then you go to intellectual output, then O1, A2, LMS with methodology instruction. Then you can go to O1, A2.9. You already have, sorry. I'll share my screen. Give me one more time.
Or you could just share the link together.
Yeah, I'll share a link
in
my screen. Sorry. I will send it by an email.
Yeah.
I have some, but it is intellectual output 2, then go on LMS and 01A2.8.
Okay. So you will send
you have your folders, you have new templates for methodologies, and try to fill it by the end of the April. But more detailed instructions you will get via email by the end of today.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.
So if there are no more questions, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. And one more time, thank you for your work in previous years or previous year. And we hope to continue with that good team atmosphere and such a good work in the next year. And we are happy to have you as a partners here in the team. Thank you.
Thank you. The group around Juraj that helps him, it works very nice.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maya.
On the next meeting, we will invite all the team to join us. You'll see those were great pupils, and you'll see they are doing a very good job. Today, unfortunately, they couldn't be able to participate today because they are working on other projects. But for our next workshop, the entire team will be here with us, and you'll see that they are good guys working good job.
Well, they should be, regardless the result.
Yeah. So thank you very much, all of you. Have a pleasant day. Have a nice day, and we'll stay in touch. I'll send you email with the list of the task, and for every question, please write us. It doesn't have to be formal. Your comments, ideas, send us an email, and we'll stay in touch and try to work the best on our project.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.